Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. This is a follow-up video on the video I posted just a few days ago about needing help with block detection problems. The problem in particular was this track right here. This whole block from that turnout to the opposite side turnout, which is really a crossover, was not being detected. And if you watch the other video, I explained that it's been working perfectly fine for about 2 years without any problems, and it's been showing up on my panel without any problems. So the track I'm talking about is right here by the Industries. Sorry about the focus. Right here between that crossover and that crossover on the outside. That whole track used to turn red when the locomotives would go through it without a problem, and I didn't change anything for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it stopped showing it. So I was thinking maybe it's a problem with the software, maybe it's a problem with the hardware, with the BDL 168. And when I posted, I was humbled with how much feedback I got, and so much support and so much help. So I really appreciate everyone that helped me out with just suggesting things. But it turns out, and I do apologize for this, it turns out it wasn't what I initially thought. I had in my mind everything was wired and set up correctly, including the cutting of the gaps and all that stuff, because everything was working. Normally, when I would not cut a track in the right place, or I would wire things incorrectly, I would get a short. It was like an obvious sign that things were wrong. But this was a little bit weird because everything was functioning, so that's why I was kind of confused. So the way I set it up originally was that I had a set of feeders coming from that turnout to this turnout, going down to my feeder, my block detection wire, which is 15B. And then because of the turnout here being electrofrog, I have a frog juicer here, I had to cut a gap here so that I wouldn't get a short with the frog switching. So then that made me have to put a set of feeders here to control all of that up until the next frog here, because it's the same exact thing. It's kind of like a mirror image, right? So this is the same thing as the other side. So here's my gap, and then obviously I would have to put another set of feeders here, which I did, for this section before the gap on the other side. And that's why you have a block. As you can see, there's a locomotive right there, right inside that tunnel. That's what the red, that's that block. And then now it's about to come into this block, which is the one that was faulty, and then onto the next section. So what I came across after doing a little testing, is that it was the wiring conflicting. And it was conflicting because I forgot to cut gaps here and here within the spurs. Like, that's the last thing I even thought of, because I was going for the obvious places. I was like, well, the problem is in the main. So I wasn't even considering this. And then I realized that, wait a second, this is connected to a separate bus altogether without block detection. It's just going right out of the command station. So it's getting power, but from a different source, so to speak. So this A-rail has a different source of power than this A-rail. But I forgot that I never cut a gap, which then connected both this A-rail and this A-rail once it got to here. So now the BDL 168 was fighting both signals from that A-rail and this A-rail, and it didn't know which way to go. So I think it just defaulted to not showing anything. It just created a dark place, a dark spot, and it just never showed. So what I did is I kind of started eliminating things before I even realized that the gap was not cut. I took those feeder wires off the 15B wire under the benchwork, and I did the same thing with those feeder wires. I took it out. So now the only wire that was going to the block detection was this feeder wire here. And as soon as I did that, everything worked. So then I was like, wait a second. If this chunk is working the way it's set up, why isn't that working? Then I realized, if this track is powered by the same 15B detection block, then all that energy, or rather all that signal is coming over to this rail also, and it's continuing throughout this entire thing, which is connected to a different source. So that's why as soon as I cut that gap right there, it disconnected the block from the rest of the power source that was on this bus. And then, you know, obviously once I did that, then it recognized the block correctly. So theoretically, the block ends here and then continues over here. So if I touch this, if I you know, bridge this here, then it also shows the block there. See, you can see it turning on and off, because that's part of the 15B. And the same thing obviously happened on the other side. So that was the solution. It was a lot simpler than I thought, and again, I apologize if I made it sound like you know, it was something from the manufacturer or from, you know, JMRI or whatever. And it wasn't. All that was working perfectly fine, and I'm glad I didn't start messing with it too much, because I was about to start deleting blocks and you know, adding new blocks and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So luckily I didn't mess that up, because I probably would have gone into a bigger mess by doing that. So now everything is working perfectly fine. I still have power to the track. I have no conflicts. And I can get both the locomotive working, you know, on the main. Sorry, that's dirty there. So as you can see, as soon as it enters that block, it lights up. So right now it's on that main that we were talking about. And everything's running perfectly well the way it was before. I mean, like I said, I was still running my locomotives through there. It just wasn't showing. And also, I'm able to run it through, you'll see in a minute, through the industry area without any problems there either. Let's back it up. So as you can see right now, it's between blocks. It's in the other block. And now it's going to go into the industrial area. And the tracks are a little bit dirty here, so I might skip a little bit, especially right here. There. And there. That might just also be a frog that's not connected. But again, you know, everything's working. It's not like it's shorting or anything like that. And as it exits here, once again, you'll see the block engage there, even though it's not really in there yet, because the gap I cut here on purpose. It's just better that way. So that's basically it. Everything is working now, and I feel better. I feel like I can sleep at night now, because this thing's been like in my head for quite a while now, spinning around and bothering me. So now that I have that, I can finally get to what I was really trying to do, which is connect my cats up to my JMRI panel, because I've been working on getting that set up, but for some reason I'm still working on having CATS detect where all the blocks are and all the turnouts are. It's not seeing it yet, so that's my next headache. So I'll be working on that. And if anybody has any input on that, I'll take that gladly. I'm brand new at CATS, and I'm just kind of playing around with it, and I know that it's a learning curve, and it takes a little time to get used to it, but yeah, baby steps. Nothing's wrong, it's just hard to understand at first. So, alright, well, thanks for watching, and again, thanks for your help if you gave me any input, and I'll see you on the next one.